Since November of last year, the Hytale team have been consistently posting lengthy blog post updates about the game every month, providing all the info we could ever need as avid fans. But at the end of August, Hypixel Studios announced a slight hiatus from public updates and instead reduced their output to a single in-game screenshot a week, dubbed a postcard. There have now been 12 postcards in total, and as we approach the 2021 Hytale release window and with the promise of more info soon, it's time once again to break down everything new about the game, including tweets between Noxy and the Minecraft devs? Welcome back to Kweebec Corner. My name is Connor, and today on Hytale News Updates, we cover the last 5 postcards from Orbis, analysing each in-game image for clues about lore, potential new mobs, or hints at unrevealed systems. We'll then be sure to cover all the info and announcements from the Hytale team on Twitter this month, and follow it up with a classic showcase of all the best community fan art. This video is sponsored by Server Pro. Server Pro now offer virtual private servers that have the strength, storage, and speed to host some of your favorite games. Minecraft, Terraria, Counter-Strike, Rust, Factorio, all with one-click installers. There's even comm software like TeamSpeak. Each VPS runs on the latest version of Ubuntu and comes with a root secure shell. You can get the High 2 vCore or Ultra 4 vCore package by heading to the link in the description below and clicking the VPS tab. Back to the video. As usual, let's start with the postcards. This now increases the total of weekly Orbis postcards to 12, and what a great few months it's been. While we haven't focused on any particular systems, we haven't had a blog post spotlight on anything huge, we have been provided a really nice vibe, a routine feeling of what it will be like to have the world of Orbis in our lives. Through these screenshots, we've found more than just a pretty picture, but an insight into a world that we will all hopefully spend years playing within. This worn down hut has so much potential, but first things first. For the first image, we join a player patching up what appears to be a rundown hut of some kind. It's likely this postcard is hinting at how the player will need to uncover and slowly repair broken structures in the hope of having a make-do shelter. The player herself is wearing some rather fashionable clothing with some stylish and practical woolly boots. The player has a backpack if it wasn't obvious already, and the block she's holding up is a set of ramped or slanted thatch roofs. I did tweet the devs asking if this was an actual Hypixel Studios staff member, but according to them, it's one of many different characters that they've been modeling to try and show off the different customization options. The image particularly showcases the foliage variety in the game, where almost every sprouting of leaves or pocket of green is unique and adds far more depth and atmosphere in exploration. There's a broken old window and a small stool for the player to stand on if she needs some extra height. This frozen keep bears the scars of a war fought long ago. Another image of Zone 3, also known as Borea, is shown here. We see a ruined keep, a prefab with barrels and crates, guarded by a dangerous ice skeleton, one we've actually seen in concept arts before. Besides the great shot of the snowy landscape and the bloom effect with the sun, it is the description that I find most interesting with this postcard. The frozen keep bears the scars of a war fought long ago. Could those scars be the actual degradation of the keep itself? Or could it be the strange, undead creature that inhabits the place? We know skeletons are very common around Orbis, but could their presence signify something more than just evil? Could the scars of the war be the fallen bodies that have now risen once again? This backs up our theory that something crazy went down some time ago in this world, and uncovering the secrets of the past will likely be the key to saving the present day in Hytale's story. The sun rises over the rivers and forests of a land unexplored. The next image showing a lovely riverside pasture of Zone 1's Emerald Grove. From right to left we see a myriad of mushrooms and bioluminescent fauna, as well as a huge mountain reaching high into the skies, with some strange glowing orange plants on the side. We see a huge variety in tree sizes, colours and arrangements, and the river glistens with light from the sun, and some very sweet reflections, might I add. We see a small busted down shack in the center of this image when you zoom in, and if you look real close, you'll notice there are some wooden beams missing thatched roof. It's very likely that this is the same hut from the first screenshot we covered that released 2 weeks prior. Further along we see a much larger, ruined castle with holes in its walls which sunbeams burst through. Very nicely, might I say. More evidence of human settlements completely abandoned. We also catch some more flowers, pumpkins, and of course these reeds that were showcased to be waterloggable. I don't know if that's the term, just let me know in the comments if what. There are plenty of good reasons for well-prepared adventurers to dig deep beneath the desert. Our next image shows the same non-named player mining, again noting I love the hat, it's cute, but at the same time has the pattern of skulls, so a bit of both worlds. I'm not sure what to take from that. This time she's beneath a desert, which sounds like the team are trying to specify that this is an underground Zone 2 cave. This can quite clearly be seen with the ores that spawn on the more sandy or yellow stone blocks above. It seems we have some sort of tin or iron ore protruding from the stone, again just noting that the stone block the ore is within can be different. We see a stalagmite holding a candle, and in the background a few bats sway and soar. Some natural glow emanates from yellow cave mushrooms, and we can even see a green ore, likely thorium, in the background. There are a few aspects to this image I think are hidden to us. From this and this, I feel like there could be some sort of mine shaft or some kind of build nearby. And I also think it's an interesting detail that we see a mixture of dead and living plants, probably more prompted by the dry wastelands and sand deserts above. Nice touch regardless. Away from the green of the grasslands, these venerable woods remember Orbis as it was. For our final in-game image of the month, we pull back to one of the most peaceful areas of Hytale, an old autumnal forest, fit once again with a huge variety of foliage. It does make me wonder how quickly my inventory may get filled up with all these random leaf and plant blocks. Seriously, there are so many different types. The sun shafts are very atmospheric here. You see the streaks of light and the shadows of the leaves on the ground. Various crops and mushrooms grow, mushrooms being very common in Orbis it seems, and not gonna lie, at first glance I really did think these were Kweebec elder trees, with these things on the ground potentially even being fresh seedlings that have yet to sprout. Seriously, that would be so cool, but it's likely just a normal tree. Either way, the description of the image hints at some sort of capacity for these trees to hold memories, to remember an age that once was. Throughout all of these images, we really have been given a sense of present-day Orbis, and it very much seems as if the vibe they want to go for is a long-forgotten world, an aftermath of a great turmoil, some sort of prior event where remembering the history will provide vital answers. It's now that time of the show where we cover all the Twitter highlights from the Hypixel Studios team members this month, and any other announcements that were made along the way. Now obviously the team is hard at work, but that's not stopped them from updating their profile pictures, retweeting art, and replying about random tidbits. There are quite a few team avatars now which all look really original and unique. Plus Noxy announced a new team member, known as Drycoff W or Adriana Lobo. He hadn't tweeted in 10 years, although that did change once Noxy tagged him. It also hit me recently that a member that joined quite a while ago, known as Jelly, is actually the creator of the sodium optimization mod. I know it's random, it's just interesting, right? The team is of course expanding, as we can expect it to, on the verge of such an essential year, and they have recently started accepting applications for a role that has got a lot of people in the community rather excited. A game and market analyst. Ooh! Now what this is in short is a big professional person who works with all the departments of the team and does a whole bunch of research about the current gaming climate, similar titles and development strategies. Then goes and crunches the numbers, ensuring the team is flowing efficiently and that a healthy roadmap for the game is developed that will surely be marketable and successful. You can see why people are excited. This is a pretty significant role, and it means the game is much closer now with someone like this being hired. To detail some points, they want the analyst to shape a go-to-market strategy, evaluate business opportunities, and measure outcomes to inform development priorities. The person needs to understand market sizing, build forecast models, and evaluate feature and launch performance. They're expected to provide competitive insights on new launches, strategies, and tactics deployed across the industry that will help inform and shape Hytale's roadmap. They need to be good at producing measurement strategy and be capable to drive on post-launch analysis to ensure key optimizations. As desired skills, they list knowing when to use and not to use data and being capable of translating product problems into analytical ones. They must be skilled in developing and testing hypotheses with an in-depth knowledge of games, products, and services in the industry, an ability to produce sharp insights as to why games succeed in the global market, and provide a collaborative and inclusive approach to solving problems. The reason I list all of these things is just to double down on how significant this role is. This person is clearly being hired in the run-up to beta and launch. Their main role will be interpreting player data and patterns, planning strategy, and ensuring everything Hytale fits into the gaming ecosystem and landscape. Now, I wouldn't get ahead of myself, don't jump out of your seat thinking beta is going to be next week or next month or anything. This analyst was hired not just for work on post-launch features, but also to devise a route to market, something that will require a substantial amount of time to prepare, and the person hasn't even been hired yet. So as usual with Hytale, avoid getting too carried away. But yes, this is a good sign, and this is a very important position. There's still over 12 job listings on the Hytale page, design, development, and production such as the one above. Definitely worth checking out if you're a professional working in the industry. You'll probably have noticed already, but the Twitter verified account returned recently, gifting those shiny ticks to a bunch of new accounts, including none other than Noxy and the Hytale account. The community rejoiced at this stamp of validity by making fun of Simon for not having one. This tick surely puts a little extra pressure on the game. It's a globally recognized title now, to a certain degree, and there's many expectations riding on their shoulders. This tick just makes that more visible. But on the bright side, hopefully is also helping the account grow. No pressure or anything. Not like there wasn't any already. All jokes aside, it's now time to stop and talk about one of the most interesting sets of tweets I saw this week. Something that, if I'm completely honest, I really didn't even expect to see. Over the last few days, Noxy has been tweeting back and forth publicly with some pretty big members of MOJANG, the developers of Minecraft. It all began with Kaplan tweeting what's a good 3D series to reboot. A user jokingly replied Minecraft, and to our surprise, Kaplan actually replied saying he guesses that's what Noxy is trying to do. Now, Kaplan actually wished the team and Noxy good luck after the Riot acquisition earlier this year, but this is a far more tongue-in-cheek response you'd expect to see from healthy competitors, from friends or business acquaintances. Noxy chimed in to say that it's been almost 12 years now and no genre iteration has happened other than successful branches like Terraria and Starbound. Minecraft really has been in a league of its own. It's making the development of Hytale way harder since there hasn't ever actually been too much iteration of the block game genre. It can be messy. We've touched on this very subject countless times before on this channel, and Mark Watson, aka Mark IRL, producer at MOJANG, seemed excited by this conversation too, saying he'd love to talk over some beers. King B Dogs, a Minecraft developer and former creator of the Aether mod, also said ditto. You'll know this guy a bit more if you've been following recent 1.17 updates, of course. This is pretty big stuff. Noxy happily replied saying he'd love to go back to conventions after the last year we've had, and that's that. But honestly, this makes me really hopeful. The fact that the devs are having public discussions like this dampens the flames on many who thought there may have been animosity between the two companies. Although they've publicly shown goodwill and sentiment before, this definitely solidifies it. If anything, this shows they're both very excited to share the space and to discuss and thrive. Clearly, Hytale has been on many people's minds, and as a reply to the last postcard, Patrick, the director of business development at MOJANG, stated, "Pretty, how about a Hytale texture pack in Minecraft?" Once again, another tongue-in-cheek, light-hearted poke to the Hytale team. Noxy's replies here being the real confirmation that this is all just jokes and dev banter, but a progressive thing to see nonetheless. If there was any more validity needed as to whether MOJANG and Hypixel were chill, these tweets would be it. The final piece of news this month follows Noxy's activity on Reddit. Replying to a thread on the Hytale info subreddit, he addressed rumors about early access and pay to win. Now, about 6 years ago, before the Hytale trailer released, the Hypixel team offered an early access preview to any who purchased the $150 MVP plus rank on the server, which according to some users was a very tasty deal. Since it hasn't really been brought up or mentioned much recently, one user was curious as to whether this would ever become reality. Noxy did confirm on the Hytale forum about 2 years ago that there was definitely a list of people, and he replied to this thread by stating early access was originally meant for another game that the team had planned before Hytale was ever even concepted. But of course they will be honouring that commitment in some way. The list is apparently very small, and access won't be anything crazy, but it will do the deal right by all parties, for example including them in the first wave of a restricted beta. A restricted Okay. No, don't worry, Noxy. I'm not reading into it. I promise. Totally theoretical example. Yep. He goes on to ask that we don't draw conclusions, and that access was only a smaller part of a much bigger bundle of cooler stuff in that MVP plus rank. He also restates that pay to win is not good, and they ain't touching it, stating it's serious weak sauce if you as a developer can't make content interesting enough without resorting to pay to win. Communities and community servers will be able to make their own decisions regarding it while still being within a rule set, and in some cases they may need to rely on it, but no one should be dancing about it. I probably won't make friends with statements like this, but that's how I feel in my heart. Sanic, the user who started the thread, commented that he respects that and just fears that Hytale servers may fall into the same vortex of all gravitating towards a pay-to-win structure like with Minecraft. Noxy reassuring us that he doesn't expect Hytale to play out the same way due to the sheer modding scope and asset creation tools. There will be a wide array of options for monetization and potentially even a flagging feature for servers who are considered too aggressive with their pay-to-win functionality. All of course is just conjecture. We know nothing of their official terms of service yet. In fact, they've probably not solidified it themselves. Noxy finishes, our mission of having the world's most empowered community means that sometimes you have to empower people in ways that you aren't 100% aligned with on a personal level. And on top of this, there will be a set of guidelines and rules with the obvious stuff that everyone has to follow regardless. This means that while pay to win may exist on some servers, they're going to leave it up to the community to decide whether those servers deserve attention. They would rather allow that while making sure everyone abides by guidelines and follows the rules fairly than dampen the community spirit and not provide full autonomy to server creators. And I respect that. Now, as usual, we close out with some community art. If you tend to leave at this point because there's no solid news, please don't. First, consider liking if you've enjoyed up to now and stick around for some fan creations. They really do capture the spirit of the game and encapsulate the community Hytale is starting to grow. This week we had art from Stranger Torfin, Ezekiel, Righteous Pebble, Pole Axe Smithy, Zafiri, Night Walrus, Chris Zeno, Lipe Slay, Kaylin Jester, Bailey V Art, Tekka Senpai, Neon Wall, Crimson Crow, James Raydart, Pixlag, Lazagator, Darktail Network, Wally Craft, Timmer, The Guy Yes, Omega AGC, Sal Lines, EFS, and last but not least, Declan. It's been a pretty beefy update video, so thank you guys for sticking with me. If you didn't see already, I did a collaboration with FitMC recently where we discussed the potential for Hytale servers and anarchy. Yes, that FitMC, that happened. Don't ask how. If you want to join a community of thousands of Hytale enthusiasts such as yourself, then be sure to check out the Kweebec Corner Discord server, link below. Thank you guys honestly so much for the support recently. It has kept me smiling through the dark days, so I hope you continue smiling too. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and thanks as always for watching Kweebec Corner. Stay safe and keep free.